Hello everybody, my name is Soulless Convoy. Today I'm taking a look at Newage H64EX Lincoln, which is their version of a toy Trailbreaker. There's a box, etc. etc. Usual box stuff from Newage. This is on loan to me from Ty from my Discord server. Shout out to him for letting me take a look at this figure. And let's begin. Right off bat, head sculpt. Pretty good. Visor, gorgeous. The metallic candy red on that visor is the same metallic candy red they used for the toy Jetfire visor, which is my profile pic on this website, I think. Gorgeous red paint. Pops super well under any light in general, just when you're looking at it. Great visor choice. Awesome chrome on these cannons, nice silver details on his head next to the visor, tampographs here on his shoulders, paint apps here on his shoulders. You got paint apps here for the truck grill. You got paint apps on the red knees as well, tampographs on the red paint apps, tampographs on his calves. Headlights are rear lights are painted. Paint is the knockout on this thing, and the gorgeous glossy black. So overall, the visual presentation level is high. It's definitely one of those EX releases which is like, damn, this is that premium Newage feel and visual presentation. In terms of proportions, though, I feel like, I guess you could blame it mostly on the cartoon model and even partially on the original G1 toy, but things feel a little bit, I want to say, dissonant. There's almost a lack of mass in this section. I think his legs are really skinny for what they are, and I'll touch on that later on in my final thoughts, but I don't think that this is like necessarily a tune accuracy thing. I think they went too far with this. They're just a bit too skinny in my opinion, and it almost feels like there's mass missing here where it needs to have more mass. Again, the chrome on the accessories, at least, well, I mean, the shoulder cannons and the hand cannon thing are fantastic and looks really good. This is gray plastic, which is fine. And again, the glossy black paint and the constant black plastic does make for, like, you know, making this guy a dust magnet in some ways. So just be mindful of that. I'm going to remove the shoulder cannon so we can start on the articulation with the head. Again, love that visor. The shaping itself, I will say before I get into how posable it is, it's a bit but I think it's more on the original toy than this because it's just a recreation of the original 1984 release, or I guess whenever the original DK3 original DK3 Diaclone release came out. It does get all the way up. It does go all the way around. And you have almost no waggle though, which is, I have a little bit of waggle, just a little tiny bit of waggle. The shoulders are on several joints. You have a outwards moment, you have a full 360 rotation. So you have your usual universal shoulder action here, which is fine. You have a little bit of a wiggle waggle on the inside. And then you have a little bit of a wiggle waggle like this, which also means you can do this on this joint. So just something to keep in mind. But for the most part, it functions like a universal shoulder and gets the same out of 90-degree range out and 360 around. You have double jointed elbows alongside a bicep swivel and a wrist swivel, all pretty much standard. Elbows are a little bit looser than I would like, but he has no handheld accessory, so I guess it's whatever. The waist is where things kind of get complicated. You have your usual waist swivel, which rubs against the crotch. Rubs against the grill, which I'd be really careful of in case of paint chipping. There's also an ab crunch, but it does not get that much because if you push it any further, it'll untab the chest, which is really unfortunate. And I will say that tabbing and untabbing, retabbing this guy's chest is a pain. You can always obviously untab the chest, and I'm going to do it for you. And then you can get a lot more, but getting it back in is a bit of a pain. This chest seems to be the main complaint on this figure for a lot of people for very good reason. And I'm just going to demonstrate. Basically, the way it attaches is if you open this right here, there's this notch right there that goes into this hole right here. It's not going to focus. It goes in right there on here, and getting it in is just, it's on an alignment thing. It just does not want to like make a sturdy and stable connection. So yeah, not ideal for the chest design, I will say. You know, it's not really the best I've ever seen by any stretch of the imagination. I think it works, but it basically does mean the ab crunch is there for the sake of being there, and if you use it, it automatically mistransforms the toy. So just something to keep in mind, you know, there's not really a real ab crunch on this thing. Here he is again. Articulation is done. Let's take a look at accessories. There's not much. He has one accessory which is actually unique only for alternate mode. He can't use this in robot mode very well. It's like a satellite dish that tabs into the chup of his Toyota Hilux alt mode. So just get that out of the way. There are the aforementioned shoulder cannons and the handheld, or I guess the hand cannon. But these feel like essential to the character, so he'd be incomplete without them, so I can't really call them accessories. They're as vital as having a single pair of hands. Speaking of hands, he just comes with one pair of the hinged. He has a pair of these hinged hands. And that's it. You know, he has a pair of fists. Here's his right fist. And a pair of hinged hands. And like usual, you can take these and pop them in like that. And there you go. This also obviously easily comes out. It's not storable in alt mode anyways, so you have to remove it. It's just a bit of a pain, and I don't want to damage the chrome, so I'm not going to try to do it on camera to remove it. But the way I usually do it is I wrap it around it with a bit of my shirt and pull it off. There's that. Looks pretty good. And finally speaking, I guess we're going to move on to our size comparisons. Pretty slim on the accessories. He's using most of them anyways in this image, but I guess it's kind of like Mirage, for example, where like his accessories are his shoulder cannon missiles, but he'd be incomplete without them. Or like a Datsun and their shoulder cannons, right? Here he is first off next to another Newage, two Newage releases actually. Here he is next to their Barricade, really old figure. So you can see the proportional improvements in some ways. And next to their Man-O-War. And then here is a core class figure, right? Dr. Wu figure. And Flak. Oh, I forgot. Legacy Deluxe in the back. So again, you know, the usual, slightly taller than a core, shorter than Deluxe. Pretty nice size though, I will say, for a Trailbreaker. Especially if Newage keeps this carbot scale going, I think it works pretty well in robot mode. So there's that. I'm gonna have my final thoughts on this guy. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna take a look at his alternate mode, and then I'll let you guys know my final thoughts on him. Here we have Trailbreaker in his alternate mode with our usual cast of size comparisons. So here he is with, again, a core, Newage's Barricade, Newage's Man-O-War, Legion class Flak, and Dr. Wu Cosmos. I'm not sure if this is more a fault of this Barricade or this guy, but I think he's a little bit too big, obviously, in comparison, because this guy is, of course, a Datsun, and this guy is a Toyota Hilux, which is a significantly larger vehicle. But, you know, this guy's really outdated, so it might just be him being big, but people have always said the Newage carbots are small, so whatever, I guess. Zooming in on Trailbreaker and his Hilux alt mode, I think it looks pretty good. It's very clean all around. The shape is definitely maintained. I don't really see any major issues from any side. I will say that these parts are where his fists store, and the way they work is kind of similar to a lot of other Trailbreakers. I think the Kingdom one also has the hands underneath, but in a much uglier way. But you can store the fists under there like that, so it does increase the profile a little bit, but I really don't think it's noticeable. Like, you can't really tell those are fists, you just assume they're like something. But if you remove the fists, it's obviously much cleaner. I keep the fists off simply because I rarely use the fists. I think most people are going to be using the hand cannon. I'm just going to leave that in there for the sake of comparison. Most people will be using the hand cannon in his robot mode, and I use one of the open hands. So, but you can have that cleaner underside by removing the hands and making it parts form. You can also kind of store this accessory in here if you just kind of like ploop it in there. But in terms of other features, this accessory is exclusive to alt mode basically. It says radar dish from the cartoon, and it just goes in there. It is chrome, so I'm not going to push it in all the way. It doesn't go in all the way, but it does look pretty nice, you know, for an occasional scene. And he also has opening doors, but to open them you have to open this part first, right here. No, this doesn't have backwards doors like some sports cars. And then you can have opening doors, which, be warned, does make this connection not work anymore. But yeah, you do have opening doors, and the window can fold down. So some nice features there, I suppose. And then finally, the tampographics on this are fantastic. I love the 4-wheel drive. I love the deco here. I love the deco there. The translucent windows are not translucent. The windows are just painted blue. I think the front window might be like plastic painted underneath, which does have a really nice effect, while the rest is like metallic fleck paint, I think, which is pretty cool. And I don't think translucent windows would have been possible with this transformation, especially like here where it has a split between the windows. But it is a really cool alternate mode. I think it will satisfy most people. I'll cover my rest, especially my thoughts on the transformation, in final thoughts in a sec. So, final thoughts on Newage Trailbreaker. How do I begin? I give this guy a pretty high ranking on my personal tier list for Newage molds. The transformation is truly something. I figured it out without any instructions. It's complex, it's intuitive, and it flows really well. It's good, and there's things I think that should be borrowed from this transformation and applied to other toys. It's fantastic. It's, again, Newage has always managed to succeed because they combine fun transformations with premium materials and adherence to the G1 cartoon. All things that are very popular among the fan base, and you have this intersection of people who are in for the cartoon look, people who are in for the fun materials, the fun transformation, and again, the good materials and presentation. This toy has all of those things going for it. It is a quintessential good Newage release, but it kind of just stops there. It is everything they promised you on the box, but it is also nothing more. And I guess it depends, are those things enough to you for $60? If they are, 10 out of 10 strong recommend. If they aren't, which is what I'm kind of feeling personally, because I'm just maybe it's not for me entirely. If you really like how it looks, I would definitely recommend picking it up. But if you're like me and you're like not exactly jiving with the whole proportions and the whole thing, then you could probably skip. It's hard because the transformation is really fun, and I think everyone should experience it. It's like one of those transformations, you know? It's like, oh, like, yeah, I remember why we paid Newage so much money. It's one of those. But, again, pretty big but. It is a lot of money. One of the things that really turned me off aesthetically is that the thighs, I don't want to just spend a minute talking about his thighs, but I feel like I have to. They're only about 5 millimeters thick. I did actually measure them. That's how I wanted to be qualitative or quantitative when I did this talk. His torso, even not including his rather broad shoulders, just his torso is 30 millimeters. And then with the shoulders on, it's like 42 millimeters. And that's a really insane ratio, right? The thighs are really tiny, or really thin and tiny. And they're not really actually like that in the G1 cartoon or on his G1 toy or in general. They're just like that. I think part of it is for transformation, but there is space in the alt mode cavity where they go. I think part of it is they're just pushing the tune proportions too far. Newage does this sometimes, where if a character has like a funky or a zany proportion in the cartoon, which is like really weird, but also people think it's like iconic to them, Newage will often over exaggerate it to the point where like I think an ideal toy of this character would do the opposite. You don't have to like push everything to the nines. And I think they did that here. And this isn't even a toon version of the toy, but it's so like exaggerated, it just affects every other release. Like it's unmistakable. He looks like that from the lower half down because of the cartoon, but not even the cartoon actually looks like that exactly. I hope that makes sense. The alt mode is fantastic though, I will say. The alt mode is fantastic, the transformation is fantastic, the chrome is fantastic, the paint is fantastic. There is a lot of good here. A lot of good here. It's just maybe not for me. So that's, I guess, the gist of it, right? It's one of those where like if you really like how it looks, you have to buy it. If you like how it looks, you could do a lot worse if you like how it looks. If you don't like how it looks, I think you can pass. Which is a shame because I feel like the transformation rules. But again, it is that thing where like if you're not jiving with this, it's not like there are some toys where like they're both so like physically dialed in and they're aesthetically dialed in. It's almost like not having something there for someone is an outlier. But like things like this, I won't say acquired taste, but it's a bit complicated to describe the visual dissonance. But I guess that's pretty much it for me. I don't want to ramble too long. Again, thank you to Ty for letting me take a look at this figure. Thank you everyone for your continued support and leaving comments. It really means a lot. I love talking with you guys about toys. Thank you for my Discord also for hanging around. I know I'm pretty annoying sometimes and pretty insufferable, so I do acknowledge that. But yeah, good toy. Strong recommend for me if you like how it looks. And in general, honestly, I think you could do a lot worse even if you're not super locked in on it. But yeah, hope to see you guys again soon, and have a great day, everyone.